Bonjour, bonjour à tous, bonjour les amis, welcome to France, welcome to a new virtual tour with France with Vero. I am Vero, your guide, virtual tour guide and French language instructor for some of you. Today I am exploring the lovely area I call home, my adopted home for the last 5 years, the Loire Valley. When people come here, it's usually to see chateaux, and very often those chateaux have great gardens. You can hear birds behind me. It's a gorgeous day right after Easter weekend, temperatures probably in the 70s. I am visiting today a chateau that doesn't get mentioned quite as often as the others, and that's a shame because it is a very special place. I'm going to show you why in a few minutes. We are about 45 minutes away from Tours, the city where I live, with a car, and about probably 10 miles away from Chinon, another lovely town in this area. So if you're ready to come with me on this new virtual tour, the chateau is called Château du Rivau, R-I-V-A-U, and I hope you come here one day because there is a lot to see. Now, don't be surprised, we have several groups of school kids here today. They are having a field trip, and they're having a ball as well. So we might see a lot of little kids around, some of them dressed as princes and princesses, because that is what you do in the Loire Valley. Are you ready? Okay, so let me show you what I am looking at right now from the top of a tower we call the Belvedere. Here is Château du Rivau, at least from one side, and right below it, part of the expansive grounds, completely restored by the owners for the last 30 years. This is called the Orchard of Paradise, and we will go down there so you can see why it is called the Orchard of Paradise. We have in this section here about 15 themed gardens. This is a maze. A maze because back in the day, during the glory days of this region, during the Renaissance, the 16th century, a maze was a really popular thing to have on your chateau grounds. And so they have one here, of course, lots of themed gardens, beautifully restored. Now, to show you a little bit more, I have to go down this thing. And I don't know why, but I feel a little bit like Gustave Eiffel on the Eiffel Tower, because this is probably what Mr. Eiffel had to do every day as he built his tower in Paris in the 1880s. I counted the steps, there's 25 of them. There we go, already down. And it's nice and shaded in here, in fact. Voila. Back to ground level. So you can go through the grounds here. You have signs that explain to you what you're seeing. What you're hearing is a peacock behind me. They have peacocks here. And each section has a theme, but what's really fun at Château du Rivau is the artwork. The owners, who have been here for about 30 years now and are taking really, really good care of the grounds, the Legnaud family, are welcoming artists from France and beyond. And those artists have done wonders both inside the chateau and on the grounds. It's not the first time I've taken you to a chateau that features artwork. Remember maybe my Christmas video, December of 2025, at the Château de Chaumont-sur-Loire. That's also a chateau dedicated to the arts. But Château du Rivau is a little bit different. First of all, the art, at least on the grounds, the inspiration for this art is fairy tales. So you have little references to your beloved fairy tales in France and beyond, with whimsical little characters popping up. The names of the green spaces also reflect that. You see that garden gnome over there? Now this is April, so the gardens have some color already. Tulips, we will see them a little later. So whimsical creatures, inspiration, fairy tales, especially if they are set in these parts. And it's just delightful. The kids are bringing some liveliness to the scene, but this morning all I could hear were birds. And look here, we have Blanche-Neige et les sept nains. Do you remember? You recognize this young lady? Snow White and the dwarves. So you have some music playing, signs that tell you what you're looking at, who the artist was. Look at this beautiful structure here, covered with ivy.
Regarde Noah.
Bonjour madame.
Bonjour, on sentait les fleurs, les enfants.
Let's have a flat for the brave team who is taking all these kids around today. This bush here is really fragrant. Look at the purple color, it's lovely. So some of you, the gardeners in the group, will no doubt recognize some of the flowers we see today. So Château du Rivau, like many castles in this area, started a long time ago in the medieval times, around the 13th century. But it is during the heyday of the Loire Valley that it was completely transformed and fortified with the king's approval and turned into a place towards the second half of the 100 Years' War between France and England that could be protected. In fact, the Lord of Beauvau, who was the first one to create this castle, who built it, served a very famous French king called Charles VII. You may know Charles VII as the king who got a little help from a young lady named Joan of Arc, who helped him boot the English out of France. So since the 15th century, there's been a pretty nice castle here, a chateau. It's been heavily modified, as you can imagine. And about 30 years ago, a family bought it. I mentioned them earlier. They took really good care of it, and they worked so hard on restoring this castle. Now you can see this is right after Easter weekend. I have eggs hanging from those trees, and those trees have gorgeous tulips. Now we have walnut trees here. At the boutique you can find some of their products, including their wine. Look at those beautiful orange tulips here. There are walnut trees on the grounds, a lot of other beautiful plants. And see, in the middle of everything, all of a sudden you have a piece of art, and they explain to you what it's supposed to refer to. Here is a really nice view of the castle, the Château du Rivau, from the side. Now back in the day, this would have been closed off by a wall and another tower. After the war, the 100 Years' War was over, they destroyed that section, thinking they wouldn't need it, made those windows much larger. And then the Renaissance, the really nice time where you would be meant to enjoy your castle and the grounds as well, arrived, and they made those windows larger. The chateau changed a little bit. You see the structure in the distance here where the kids are playing? That is actually meant to represent the tower that is not here anymore, because there would have been a wall here back in the day. So if you walk through this orchard, the Orchard of Paradise, it is indeed a very pleasant place to be. There's a guy working. Look at the blossoms. Very pretty. So a lovely place if you enjoy being outdoors. That's why the kids are here today, no doubt. But the castle itself, the chateau, is very interesting. The visit doesn't take very long, but it is just, the rooms are filled with artwork inspired by the history of the Touraine region, the history of the chateau, and there are some pretty nice things to see in there. My favorite room in the chateau is the one dedicated to Joan of Arc. They have so many mementos and artworks inspired by the story of Joan of Arc in there. Now, the Château du Rivau's claim of fame, one of them, is that Joan of Arc actually stopped here in 1429 on her way to Orleans, the city she wanted to free from the English. And she got horses here for her troops. The Château du Rivau, already at that time in the 15th century, had renowned stables, and they bred some horses that were used to fight. And that tradition continued in the following century. A famous king in this area is Francis I, François Ier. He actually kept his stallions here. I'll show you what happened to the stables and what they do with them now. Now see another whimsical piece of art here, which comes with a very interesting message, but really what you see are two giant boots, and both of them are a left foot. So here they are in the garden, and you have more back there. This is the Belvedere where I was standing when I started this video. See the things I do for you? Now again, my name is Véronique Vero. France with Vero is my business name. You can find me on many different platforms. YouTube, obviously, with over 370 videos. By the way, if you could help me get the word out about this channel, I would be so happy. I'm almost at 10,000 subscribers. And if you could just click subscribe, that would be wonderful. I also write on Substack. I publish content on Facebook and Instagram. What I do is I teach about France. I share La Belle France, my homeland. France with Vero. Let's get a little closer to the chateau. I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to go inside, but I'll show you a couple of features. So if you come here, make sure to see the grounds. They give you a very good map, and they take you on a pathway that you follow to visit all the grounds and see all these gardens, those themed green spaces. And you'll recognize the names of your favorite characters in fairy tales. Look at the peacock. The Château du Rivau is well known for its peacock. This white guy I've seen featured on their postcards. They like them so much that in this direction over there, there is a mirror at ground level that's supposed to be used by the peacocks. Apparently they love looking at their reflection, at their own reflection. And so they have a mirror for the peacocks to primp, I guess. Hello. And you can hear them in the background constantly. So I'm going to stand here so you can see what I am looking at. And I'll finish by this front yard, that's Courtyard. But here, my friends, is the entrance of the Château du Rivau, beautifully restored by its current owners for the last 30 years. They've had some issues. There was a big fire 15 years ago. They did not quit. They did not give up, just like the motto of the original builder of the chateau, the Lord of Beauvau. His motto was, don't give up. They rebuilt the roof that burned down, and today the place is spectacular. Here is a drawbridge, un pont-levis in French, and it actually works. And look how special this is. This is presumably where knights on horseback could ride, but you also have a section for pedestrians. Look at that, and that's an original. This is pretty interesting. I'm gonna walk through here, watch our feet, because the cobblestones here are treacherous. Look what I'm looking at. Yep. And here's a very peaceful courtyard. This is France after all. We have a frog on this wall. So I like Rivau because it is whimsical, like I said. It's not just beautiful gardens, beautiful walls. It's also whimsy and a sense of humor very often. Now you can see on this facade that you have elements of the Gothic style, of course. That was prevalent when this was built in the 15th century, but you also see those big windows. And those big windows definitely came later. This is more of a Renaissance style. You see this middle window has some carvings on the beautiful tuffeau or tufa stone. That's definitely Renaissance. A well, probably here in the center. There's another one here by this tower. So again, you've got a picture. This castle, the Château du Rivau, with a big wall and another tower in that corner back in the day. It would have been closed off. And this is the orchard where we were standing. this trellis or arbor on the right-hand side here, with a vine climbing, roses in fact, what is where the old chapel used to be. Behind it is their gastronomic restaurant called the Jardin Secret, the secret garden, only 20 tables. So they do everything right. They have a hotel on site, a 4-star hotel. They have a gastronomic restaurant. There's also a little restaurant where I had lunch today. Ooh, did you hear the peacock? That's our friend, we just saw him. And the roses here. This is an old medieval garden. They have updated with roses. The roses is also what Château du Rivau is famous for, but we'd need to be here late May, early June to see this. They have over 400, maybe 500 rose bushes of different varieties. So for those of you who love roses, you definitely have to come here. Oh, here's another peacock. Un paon in French, peacock, paon. Which is weird because it's spelled P-A-O-N, but it's pronounced paon. Bonjour, monsieur. Vous êtes bien élégant. Oh, eating the rose bushes. I'm not sure he's supposed to do this. Or maybe bugs on the rose bushes. That would be better. So here we are in the yard, in the front yard. This is where you come in, this door, and you have 2 floors, several rooms, and like I said, filled with artwork. Very interesting artwork in those old rooms, and the Joan of Arc room is particularly spectacular. For the number, for the information it includes, very, very interesting. So you would have exited the Château du Rivau right here, through the Pont-Levis or drawbridge. Here is the family that has owned the chateau for 30 years. They have 2 daughters who also work on the property, the Legnaud family, and they are passionate about restoring this chateau and keeping it open to the public, welcoming. It is a historic monument of France. And this is where people would have arrived back in the day before they made it to the castle. I'm going to keep going for a few more minutes. Interesting creation right here. Supposed to represent dreams. See a castle, a garden fountain. How beautiful, it's hard to believe it's April. Ahead of us is the potager or Gargantua's garden. Gargantua, of course, is that giant, the creation of a famous local author named François Rabelais, who was from Chinon in the area. And ahead of us, that corner building here, that magnificent building, which is also a historic monument of France, are the famous stables where they bred those horses. The stables originally were made of wood, and then they designed them with this gorgeous stone. Today, the right-hand side can be visited, where you see that coat of arms on the wall, but the section facing me is actually the 4-star hotel. So you can spend the night here and have the place all to yourself. It's in a very small town in the middle of the countryside. A village, really, called Les Marais. Like I said, about 10 miles away from Chinon. So Chinon makes for a nice afternoon trip if you're staying here. And look at this giant boot. The peacocks are going at it again. Maybe this was Gargantua's boot. Lovely view of the chateau from here. I should probably find some shade because I'm burning up here. Let me switch this around. I would like to thank you for joining me today at the Château du Rivau on another virtual adventure. I will put all the relevant information in the video description below. There are many more virtual tours on this YouTube channel, France with Vero, where you can discover Paris and more than Paris, the rest of La Belle France. I'm sure I'll be seeing you soon. Again, if you've enjoyed this walk, this virtual tour, give me a like and please, please, please subscribe. I would love to reach 10,000 subscribers. It's a humble little channel, but hey, it can only help to get the word out about my work, France with Vero. One last peek at the Château du Rivau. There we go. Thank you, friends, for joining me today. I'll be seeing you very soon. À bientôt.